Okay, so today's lesson is lesson 1. So today's key phrase is, what are you planning to? For example, what are you planning to do on your trip? Okay. So what are you planning to do in Africa? You can say, I'm planning to visit elephants or go on a safari. All right, what are you planning to do in school? You can say, well, I'm planning to study English. All right, what are you planning to do on your trip to Seoul? Say, I'm planning to go hiking. Okay, what are you planning to do on your trip to Jeju-do? Say, I'm planning to eat delicious food. All right, what are you planning to do in Japan? You can say, I'm planning to look at city lights. Okay, let's go to the second part of the lesson today. Okay, today's key phrase is, why don't you? Okay, so if you have a problem, you give advice. So, for example, why don't you? And then you add a verb plus a noun. So, for example, my dog is dirty. You can say, why don't you wash the dog, right? Or my room is dirty. You can say, why don't you clean your room? Okay, my bike is broken. You say, why don't you call a repairman? My plants are dying. So say, why don't you water the plants? Okay, my house is too small. You can say, why don't you add a room? Okay, I missed the bus. Why don't you call a taxi? It's too cold. Why don't you close the window? Or you can say, for example, wear a jacket. If it's too cold, you can say, why don't you wear a blanket? Okay, it's too hot. So you can say, why don't you buy a fan? It's too dark. Why don't you turn on the lights? Okay, so if you want to respond, you can say, okay, I will. I'll do that. Or sorry, I won't. So my bike is broken. You can say, why don't you call a repairman? You say, okay, I will. Okay, it's too cold. Why don't you put on a blanket? And you say, okay, I will. Okay, it's too hot. Why don't you buy a fan? And you can say, okay, I will. My house is dirty. You say, why don't you clean it? And you say, I'll do that. Okay, it's too dark. You say, why don't you turn on the lights? And say, I'll do that. I missed the bus. You say, why don't you call a taxi? You say, okay, I'll do that. My plants are dying. Why don't you water the plants? You say, okay, I will. My house is too small. You say, why don't you add a room? You say, okay, I will. Alright, now let's go to chapter 1 in your book.
Communicate. Listen.
Okay, so I'm planning to build a house. So what will the mother pig and the wolf say to baby pig? So you say, you should build a strong house, or why don't you live with me? Okay, let's find out what they are talking about.
Kevin, do you have a special goal for the year?
Yeah, I want to win a gold medal in the national swimming contest.
Cool.
What about you, Minso?
I'd like to manage my time better.
How would you achieve your goal?
I'm planning to make a daily and weekly schedule.
Sounds good.
Okay, so what are they talking about? That's right, they are talking about goals for the year. And why does Minso plan to make a schedule? Because she wants to, that's right, manage her time better. Okay, so let's find out which planner she chose and what advice she gives to Minso.
Can I talk with you for a minute, Minsu?
Sure. What is it?
I'm working on my weekly schedule.
Really? Good for you, little sister.
Here. Have a look and give me some advice.
You have a lot of study time.
Yeah, I'm planning to study hard.
Why don't you add some downtime?
Downtime?
Yeah, I mean, you need to relax once in a while.
Okay, so let's find out which one she chose. It's number 2, right? Okay. So what advice does Minsu give to Minso? You need time to, that's right, relax. Okay, let's go to listen more. Okay, so let's find out why Jongha called grandma. What is Jongha going to do this Saturday? Let's complete his to-do lists. Plan some. Okay.
Hi, Jongha.
Hello, Grandma. I'd like to visit you this Saturday.
That'll be great. We can plant some vegetables together.
Really? What kind of vegetables?
This time, I'm planning to plant some tomatoes and peppers.
Wow, that'll be fun.
I heard it's going to be sunny this Saturday. You should bring your cap.
Okay, I will.
Why don't you put on sunscreen before you leave?
No problem. I'll see you on Saturday.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so what is Jongha going to do this Saturday? He's going to plant some, what? Right? Okay, now let's find out what what should Jongha prepare before he goes to grandma's. Okay.
Hi, Jongha.
Hello, Grandma. I'd like to visit you this Saturday.
That'll be great. We can plant some vegetables together.
Really? What kind of vegetables?
This time, I'm planning to plant some tomatoes and peppers.
Wow, that'll be fun.
I heard it's going to be sunny this Saturday. You should bring your cap.
Okay, I will.
Why don't you put on sunscreen before you leave?
No problem. I'll see you on Saturday.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, so it'll be the sunscreen and then the hat, right? Okay. Alright, let's go to speak parts.
Communicate. Speak.
So what are you planning to do on the following days? So what are you planning to do this weekend? You can say, for example, I'm planning to visit my friends. We can say, what are you planning to do on April? You can say, I'm planning to play a joke on my friends, right? Okay, so let's read the dialogue together. What are you planning to do on April Fool's Day? You can say, nothing special. How about you? You can say, I'm planning to play a trick on my homeroom teacher. Okay, alright, let's look at the people. Let's find out what advice you can give to each person. So I want to make many friends. You can say, for example, why don't you talk to people first? Or I think you should join a school club. Alright, I need to be stronger. What should I do? How about this? Why don't you exercise regularly? Or why don't you walk to school? I'm planning to go to the ballpark this Friday. You say, why don't you take your baseball glove? Or I think you should buy tickets first. I want to learn Chinese. Why don't you take online Chinese classes? Or I think you should buy a Chinese dictionary. I want to get more allowance. Why don't you ask your mom for more money? Or I think you should help your mom with housework. Okay, I'm planning to go to the ballpark this Friday. Why don't you take your baseball glove? I think you should buy tickets first. Okay, alright, thank you very much, guys.